So I have to click start stream and then click start live as well. That makes no sense. Why would y'all do that to me? Okay. So I have to click start stream. Oh, perfect. The sound is fine. Still, that's so weird. That makes zero sense. Is this recording? Yes, it is recording. Then we are fine. Okay. All is well. Hello, people. Okay. Lighting is fine. Y'all is fine. Regular cup is fine. Blueberries are fine. All is fine. Great. Whew, okay. Hi, Megan. How are you doing today? I am just trying to make sure I am all situated. You said I'm here. Yes, you're here. Welcome, welcome. I am. I think you made it. I think I am all good to go. Yeah, I'm actually prepared this time. I feel like the last few times we've come on live together, I've been like, ah! But today I'm like, I'm ready. Everything is good. So you said good. Arha is interesting so far. Yeah, Arha is not for everybody, but for those who it's for, it's everything. It's man, it's crazy. It's been so long since I've read it, like from the beginning. I know that in the last few months, actually, I think in January and February, somewhere around that time, I was reading volumes 7 through 9. But it's just been a while since I've read it from the very beginning. But I don't know if I want to do that. Actually, I wouldn't mind doing it if there was someone reading it whose like the experience for me would be top notch. Then I would probably listen to it again, slash read it again. But yeah, Arha was really good. I remember the first time I read it, I was just like, okay, okay, this is crazy, but I'm here for all of it. I was like, I think I like this author. And I loved it so much. You know, at the time that I read it, all of the books weren't out. So I was like, okay, they have another series? You, okay, let's check it out. And then I think at that time there were only 3 volumes out. So I read those 3 and I was just like, ah, give me more. I was like, I am crazy for almost all things meat bun. Just almost. Not case file compendium, but almost. You said you're having an entertaining time, but wow, it's a time. Yeah, it's quite a time. I wonder if my emotional experience would be different if I had read it out loud, because the first time I read it in my head. And, you know, a lot of people were like, get ready to cry. It's going to destroy you. It's such a sad series, blah, blah, blah. And honestly, I was just laughing my way through a lot of it. Like even the sad moments, which I won't spoil, but I think all of volume 4, like the things that happened toward the end of volume 3, going into volume 4, I think those volumes, it was sad, but I wasn't like, oh, this is so devastating. Like I did not break down technically until volume 9, but things from the second half of volume 7 onward just had me like, I'm dying. I think I'm dying. Okay, but this time around, when I listened to Brittany read volume 7, 8, and 9 for me, and 7 hurt a lot worse, the second half, when it was read out loud. I was just like, God save me from this despair. continues to read. So anyway, hi everyone. I see there are plenty of people here, even though I guess you guys aren't talking to us. But hi. You're thoroughly entertained, and then you will happen to us. You will forever be my favorite heartbreak series, just period. I love it more than Arha, even though technically speaking, this third time around, second time, I don't remember, when I started reading it, I realized that I can relate to Morjan in a lot more ways than I can Gumang. But still, you will just hurts worse. It hurts so much worse for me. You said, hi, I'm coming, and you're talking about Arha. Don't worry, we're not spoiling anything. It's just very surface level stuff. We're just talking about how entertaining it is and when the devastation hits and yada yada. Haven't said anything specific. Also, for all of my Patreoners, he said, hi, are we talking about meat bun? Yes, we are, 2OOC Shirtsuins. And I don't think I've ever seen you here before, so hi. Welcome, welcome. Yes, we are talking about them, which also, I just want to go ahead. I thought about waiting until like, I don't know, 15 after to make this disclaimer, but I just want to apologize to my Patreoners. Because y'all didn't get the most recent chapters until 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time last night. And it was supposed to be 10:30 a.m. Whenever I'm scheduling my, things to drop, it's for some reason always scheduled automatically on PM. And so I have to insert the time and then click A for it to switch over. And I guess I just had like a moment where I forgot to do that. And I didn't even know until yesterday. Meg was like, there are chapters released now? How am I supposed to be ready for tomorrow? And I was like, wait, what? Now? Fuck. When I checked, I was like, oh my God. So all of you guys on YouTube who are here should be perfectly caught up because YouTube operates differently than Patreon. It isn't set automatically on AM or PM. You have to click the drop down button and scroll from 12 a.m. all the way to 12 p.m. to pick your time. And so that's much easier. I'm just like, 10:30 a.m. So everybody on YouTube that listen, you got it on time. Meanwhile, Patreon got it late. And I was just like, okay, lovely. This little Mari blunder, whatever. I'm gonna say, oh, nothing has been you devastating yet. Right. It gets there. It gets there. The Yuwu devastation. I just think, I don't know. I need to read volume 10 before, I guess, technically before I say it, since it's been so long. But I feel like the Yuwu devastation officially finally hits in volume 9. Yeah. And goes into volume 10, but before the resolution, because the official series ends in volume 10, and then there are extras, and then volume 11 is nothing but extras. So yeah, it comes, and you're just like, actually, no, I still think it's not as devastating, because I felt a sense of hope when I was reading Arha Volume 9. When I read the fan translation, I know it was Volume 9 to Volume 10. Like, I knew that things were going to be resolved. But in Yuwu, I just wanted to stop hurting. I was like, I'm okay if they just die and live together in the afterlife. And even that possibility was like, that might not happen either. So I was like, this is going to be a sad ending. Oh my gosh. But I didn't get that vibe with Arha. So, but anyway, you said volume 4 of Arha was fun. I mean, so far. And I'm cracking the fuck Yes. Volume 3 made you cry a couple of times, but not you will level ugly cry. Gotta get the ugly cries in. You listened to till 11:45. Ooh. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, that's not too bad. If you listen till 11:45, at least if you get to sleep quickly, then you are all good to go as far as getting, your rest for work and everything. Ugly sobbed every single, right? I think there was only one volume I did not cry in. Or was it two? I know I didn't cry in volume one, but it was just really heavy and I was really sad. Um, I think I did not cry in volume five because we got just like a tiny bit of relief in volume five, and then it turned back around. It was like, no. So I think those were the only two volumes I didn't cry, but all the other ones I cried. And even still, volumes one and volume five, they just meat bun when I catch a meat bun. That's all I can say. So anyway, today, okay, I've got like 3 minutes left of stalling time. Today I have water. We have Ah Xiao carrying some delicious honey tea. Oh my God. Whoa, that's crazy looking, but really cool. The hibiscus is like in the water. And then I've got a bowl full of blueberries, probably way too many blueberries, but I eat them very quickly. I have a problem. My problem used to be grapes. Like, I remember one time I ate an entire bag of grapes, and I guess I didn't rinse them off well enough because the next day I had a sore throat. Anyway, I do still love grapes and I eat them a lot, but I seem to go, if I go through grapes in about 3.5 to 4 days, I go through a container of blueberries in like just two servings. That's it. The big containers. So, and then I have some chocolate graham crackers to accompany me. So at some point, you guys might get some food ASMR. Just putting that out there. And then depending on how long we're here today, there might be a moment where I just have to like put up a hold screen or something because I have work. I have to let someone into a live session and make sure they're all good to go. And then I can come back. But that's not until 12:50. We should be fine. Then at that point, we won't be reading. We'll probably be talking or close to saying goodbye. So we'll see. You still sobbed. Yeah. You happy cry and sad cry. I feel that. I happy cry too. Actually, I'm trying to think. There was a particular moment I happy cried. Oh, it was in QJJ, actually. Volume volume 3. When since we're all caught up, volume 3 of QJJ, when like the scene before they escaped to do, and Shenzi Chuan was like, Zi'an, go home. And then, everything happened with his teacher and everything. And next thing you know, I think it was Han Chong, like his sword was about to come down on him or something, but it said that the bow had stopped him or something like that. And I was like, I was so happy and relieved. I was like, Zi'an. Okay, anyway, so I think that's one of the few times I have happy cried in Danmei. So we send them Violet Beauregard vibes. Violet, you're turning violet. Bruh, I will definitely turn into a blueberry. I will blow up and everything. Violet ain't got nothing on me. Actually, it was actually me in the movie. And I simply, they just put a different face on me. It was me. So anyway, our beautiful Ballad of Sword and Wine, Volume 6. For anyone who doesn't have the physical copy, they look so sad. And I'm not here for it. I'm not here for it. I'm not in love with Yao Wenyu, but I am in love with Xiao Tianya. Shh. Look one by. And I don't like this expression. And since Yao Wenyu is connected to him, I don't like Yao Wenyu having this expression either. Anyway, yes, my love for Xiao Tianya kind of just crept up on me. I don't know how it happened. It's just like one moment I was like, he's a really good guy. I like him. And then next thing you know, volumes later, I was like, he's so fine. I love this man. I knew there was a reason I loved him. Look at how he handled this, how he handled that. Okay. You're still concerned about your side ship. I'm very concerned. Even though we didn't get a lot of things, I'm concerned. So, and then I think, actually, yeah, right now, that's the only side ship I have. I wish I could say I have a side ship for the ladies, but literally, they have not interacted with each other. So, like, I can't ship. Like, I know people can still ship. Obviously, yes, you can. But, like, my brain cannot ship them when they've barely said 12 words to each other. Actually, I think it was Tang Jiu Qing who was thinking, like, dang, we barely exchanged 12 words with each other. Like, this talking about the stuff happening in Chudu was the most we've ever talked to each other. So I can't, like, my brain just can't ship them. I need some kind of something. So I'm not concerned about them. Plus the other girl's married anyway, so whatever. But I'm concerned about these two. So for sure, today we are reading chapters 229, 230, and yeah, and 231, I believe. So we're gonna go ahead and get started, and I am going to take notes of where I start for editing purposes, which now that I record through OBS, we don't have to wait a whole 24 hours before I can edit the videos, and they can be put up sooner. Okay. So we're gonna get started with chapter 229, Pan Lin. I don't like this guy. Also, do I just wanna... Okay, that's as bright as it goes. It's a little cloudy-ish outside today, a little gloomy, so the light isn't lighting. Anyway, chapter 229, Han Lin. At Mount Loa, Gutin was about to climb back onto his horse to continue on his way when he received a letter from Duanzhou. He turned to look at Huo Lingyuan, who was there for a fresh batch of horses, with a complicated expression. Did his lordship write this just before you set out? Beside his own horse, Huo Lingyuan nodded as he unscrewed his water skin to take a swig. It was written just last night. Gutin tucked the letter into his robes and retrieved another, which he handed to Huo Lingyuan. This is from Arya, to his lordship. After a pause, he asked, What did the embroidered uniform guard... Oh, no, I was right. What did the embroidered uniform guard who went to investigate the carriage say? That the Huzhou Yamen was hot on their tail, and the carriage driver was in such a desperate panic, he drove right off the neglected road and into the stream below. Huo Lingyuan hung the water skin back onto his saddle and carefully stowed Xiao Chuye's letter in his own lapels. They sent a few men down the stream to search for hours. There were no survivors. Gutin's expression darkened further. He had set out to greet Master Yideng, with implicit orders to guard the venerable master on Xiao Chuye's behalf. Now his mark was gone before he'd even arrived. Gutin stood rooted in place, utterly perplexed. He muttered, What was the venerable master doing in Huzhou? Great question. Wasn't that his home before he became a monk? Having ridden the entire night, Huo Lingyuan reeked of sweat. Based on what Yan Hezhu said, it seems Master Yidong died of illness. If he didn't expect to live much longer, maybe he returned home to see his kin. The venerable master cut ties with the secular world the day he joined the monastery. Anyone still left in his family would be distant relations, not any close kin. Remembering Master Yidong's sojourns in the Libei homeland, he continued. Besides, the venerable master agreed to return to Libei this year. Even if he didn't expect to live much longer, he would fulfill his promise first. Huoling Yuan had never crossed paths with Master Yidong before. Perhaps Gu Jin was right. He looked up and noticed the sky beginning to lighten. I've rested enough. I should hit the road. Gu Jin nudged his horse aside to make way. Huoling Yuan turned and added, when you reach the front line, remember to tell Arya that Tan Tai Hu wants to try out those new sabers too. Tell Lao Hu to send a letter himself. I'm not heading that way. Gu Jin scraped mud off the soles of his boots, swung into his saddle, and pointed into the distance with his riding crop. I'm off to Huzhou. What'd he say? Hello, Kai Kai. How much have I missed? Not much. Literally a page and a quarter, maybe. Yeah. Boom. Boom. So since you just missed, I guess I'll just say Gu Jin and Huoling Yuan were just chatting, and Huoling Yuan delivered the news that Master Yidong is dead. No survivors, okay? And that's literally it. So moving forward, yes, page 88, at the section where there's a break. So doctors crowded quietly, if you want to flip to that, if you have the actual book. Doctors crowded quietly on the veranda outside, not daring to raise their voices. Seeing that this was not the place for a discussion, Fei Sheng hurriedly arranged for the physicians to gather in the room next door. Kong Ling didn't enter to disturb Yao Wenyu's rest. Instead, he followed Fei Sheng and asked, what do the doctors say? Fei Sheng cast a glance at the lowered bamboo blinds and led Kong Ling a little aside. They're terrified, he whispered. Their prescriptions are even weaker than the ones we used in the guard. No one dares to go too heavy on the herbs for Mr. Yuan Zhuo. Oh, yes. Kong Ling was widely read, but he wasn't well versed in medicine. He held still for a moment, his expression one of shock. Then, Fei Sheng couldn't say for sure either. Everyone had pinned their hopes on the venerable Master Yidong. Yan Heru's gambit had caught them all off guard. He ducked to avoid a newly sprouted branch in the courtyard. His lordship wrote to Gu Qingqing last night and bade him search for physicians in Juexi's 13 cities, but they likely won't arrive in Duanzhou until the 6th month. How would they survive the next 3 months? Man. Oof. Fei Sheng didn't dare speak out of turn. He had been on tenterhooks too, as he watched the physicians coming and going all night. Yao Wenyu continued to push himself to his limits. In Fuzhou, he had first drained his energy to placate the masses of scholars who had come to join Shen Zichuan, then stayed up in discussions with Kong Ling and the others for nights on end to make arrangements for the 6 prefectures' regional administrations. He had then immediately traveled from Suzhou to Duanzhou. It was no wonder he hadn't been well since he arrived. Kong Ling stood silent for a moment. Wait here so I can update the governor. His lordship hasn't slept the whole night. He's still waiting in the hall for news. Then please convince my master to rest. Fei Sheng had been shaken by the sight of Yao Wenyu coughing up blood. He chased Kong Ling a few steps. He seemed in low spirits after the news of Master Yidong's demise, and now he's worried about Mr. Yuan Zhuo. I pray he doesn't fall sick too. With Zhao Tenya and me keeping watch here, nothing serious will happen. He should sleep. Kong Ling agreed and rushed out of the courtyard, lifting the hem of his robe in his haste. When he arrived at Shen Zichuan's courtyard, he found the prefectural governor standing on the veranda, listening to Ding Tao. Spotting Kong Ling, he nodded for Ding Tao to pause. Ever since the incident in Duanzhou, where he had glimpsed the unguarded ruthlessness in Shen Zichuan's eyes, Ding Tao had been well behaved. He promptly shut his mouth and retreated to make way for Kong Ling. After deliberating a moment, Kong Ling said, "He's just fallen asleep. They're decocting the medicine now. Xiao Tianya is overseeing everything, so your lordship needn't worry." It was peaceful and quiet in the courtyard. Shen Zichuan came down the stairs to meet him. None of the physicians gave a diagnosis. Kong Ling noticed Shen Zichuan's displeased expression and fell into step at his side. "These are all country doctors. They've never treated someone like Yanzhuo before. They don't dare to fool us with common prescriptions, and they're cautious in everything they say. Even so, they're doing everything they can. No one dares be careless." Astute as he was, Shen Zichuan knew that no one among this group of physicians could treat Yanzhuo. They would all err on the side of prescribing rest and nourishment, doing their best to avoid any risk. "Send an urgent missive to Yu Xiaotai." Shen Zichuan stopped in his tracks. "Tell him to keep an eye out for good physicians in every prefecture during his inspection rounds. He should send all the ones he can find to Duanzhou. Draw the consultation fees from my private coffers. We'll give them whatever they ask." A guard arrived with a letter. Kong Ling delayed his answer so Shen Zichuan could read it in peace. Shen Zichuan turned over the letter and saw Gu Qingqing's personal seal. When he finished reading, he handed it to Kong Ling. "The battle in Chudu is over." Kong Ling took a moment to read the letter. "What Marshal Qi lacks at present is not military provisions, but a noble rank and title. The Empress Dowager recognized this, yet she stubbornly persisted in trying to coerce her and ended up giving Xue Yanqing a helping hand instead." "The Empress Dowager simply has no way to back down," Shen Zichuan said. "She wants Tang Jiu Qing's troops, but she has no bargaining chips left with which to win the marshal over. If push comes to shove, Han Cheng and his 20,000 men can't beat anyone." What Shen Zichuan had initially considered a strategy of befriending a distant state while attacking a nearby enemy had long been turned on its head. Chudu's fatigue was obvious. In the east, they had faced Zhongbo. In the east, where they faced Zhongbo and Libei, they had only the 8 great battalions to aid them in an emergency. And with the issue of the commoner's field blown up to such proportions, Danzheng had no attention to spare to maintaining a military defense. Yin was the last straw Chudu had to clutch at. Kong Ling sucked a breath through his teeth when he reached the end of the letter. "Pan Xiangjie and Pan Lin are dead. The Empress Dowager is playing against Xue Xiuzhuo." Shen Zichuan looked up at the overcast sky, where storm clouds were gathering. "How can she escape unscathed?" "You said, I think we're all shaken by the sight of Yao when you're coughing up blood, right?" Next scene. In Chudu, the rainy season had begun. I didn't know it ended. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't know the rainy season ever ended. It's always raining in this book. Okay. Sorry for that interruption. When the Grand Secretariat held... Sorry. When the Grand Secretariat wanted to hold Han Cheng accountable for the debacle in the prison, Han Cheng stuck to his narrative that the officials the 8 great battalions had killed were Zhongbo's spies. Both sides engaged in a war of words in the imperial court, and it was amid all this that the news of Pan Xiangjie's death was reported. Only then did Liang Cuishan recall that no one had paid Pan Xiangjie any heed when he cried for help that day, locked up in the innermost part of the prison. The situation had been chaotic. Pan Xiangjie had suffocated to death from the smoke in his cell. It seemed the jailers had only found him when they went to clean up. It was Pan Lin who admitted to the collusion regarding the granaries. Oh, that was someone talking. Sorry. The rain clouds, yes. Shishu was talking. Okay. It was Pan Lin who admitted to the collusion regarding the granaries. Xue Shujuo had announced in Mingli Hall. He was also the one who turned over the detailed accounts from the Ministry of Revenue. This man doesn't deserve to be punished with death. Sun Yu, too, found what had happened to Pan Lin regrettable. He nodded. That's not to say he should be exonerated. Justice cannot be tampered with, but it can be tempered with mercy. It's been a while since I've done this. Sorry for the interruption, but I have to highlight that. I really like that line. Justice cannot be tampered with, but it can be tempered with mercy. That's a line. Sorry, that's a line. Okay, I have to mark this. 1 second. Because I don't want to forget about that. Okay. All right. Let's continue. Sorry. Yes. Kong Chiu had pondered for some time, looking through the confession statement presented by the Ministry of Justice over and over. It's true Pan Lin confessed, but that was only after the Imperial Court began its investigation. He's been an accessory to this crime since discrepancies first started to appear in the accounts years ago. He may be spared execution, but not punishment. In the end, the Grand Secretariat dismissed Pan Lin from his post, demoted him in status, and exiled him to Huaizhou. But as the Dancheng case was yet unresolved, Pan Lin was to remain at the relay station and await the court's summons in the interim. Unlike the nobility of Pan Xiangjia's generation, Pan Lin had studied to be a civil official and considered himself a scholar. He took pride in his occupation, and because of that, he had never gotten along with dilettantes like Xue Xiuyi. Yet, now he was reduced from a young master of a noble clan to a guilty commoner. And he had lost his father on top of that. The abrupt change in his fortunes compounded his plight at the relay station, where he was disdained by his guards and handed only cold leftovers to eat. Long ago, Xue Xiuyi had gotten into a spat with Pan Lin at the banquet celebrating Xiao Chia's confinement. Conferment. Long ago, Xue Xiuyi had gotten into a spat with Pan Lin at the banquet celebrating Xiao Chia's conferment. Xue Xiuyi, intending to bury the hatchet before Pan Lin was expelled from the capital, went to see Pan Lin, bringing some delicacies to share. The servants at the relay station led Xue Xiuyi in. Looking around the cramped and narrow room, Xue Xiuyi asked, "This is where Pan Chengzhi is staying? He's the young master of the Pan clan and the vice minister of the Ministry of Revenue. How can you keep him in a room like this?" The servant opened the door with a smarmy smile. "Weren't the properties of the Pan clan confiscated by the court? He's a criminal. This arrangement was made by the Imperial Court. How would we servants dare to defy it?" He pushed the door open and cautioned, "My lord mustn't stay long. If the Ministry of Justice catches wind of this, it'll be my neck." Xue Xiuyi's scrawny body hunched as he craned his neck to look through the doorway. Pan Lin was sitting at a rickety desk by the window. The room was gloomy, and rain was leaking in everywhere. The floorboards were already soaked through. Pan Lin's robe was damp, as were his boots. Stubble shadowed his jaw, and he was still wearing the same clothes he'd worn in the prison. He looked very much the worse for wear. Xue Xiuyi strode to the door, carrying the food box, and called gently, "Chengzhi, I'm here to see you." Pan Lin looked up. He regarded him for a long while before saying, "Have a seat." Seeing the box on the table, Xue Xiuyi pulled up a chair. He surveyed the room. "You are at the very least, well, I'll go talk to them later." You are at the very, okay, no, I read that right. "You are at the very least, well, I'll go talk to them later. Even another room here would be better than this." Pan Lin's eyes reddened at the rims. He was a forlorn figure as he sat under the fat drops of rain leaking through the roof. Xue Yi fidgeted. Before things could get too awkward, he took the initiative to speak. I'm not here today to mock you. You're going to Huaizhou, and it's so far away. Once we part, you and I will never see each other again. So I wanted to see you off. Pan Lin remained unmoved. Xue Yi hesitated. For some reason, he found himself gripped by a feeling of melancholy. He was of legitimate birth, and he was of legitimate birth, as was Pan Lin. How could lawful sons such as themselves end up in such a state? Hi, Suki! Bye, Suki! Tears shone in his eyes as he continued. Chungjer, about what happened during the Marquis' banquet last year, I'm sorry. I heard you let Yuanzhou go, and I admire you for that. You're a man of talent, and you've only suffered misfortune due to your clan. The Grand Secretary spared you from execution because he appreciates talented men like you. Once you arrive in Huaizhou, you'll have a chance to show your mettle again. Even Xue Yi didn't believe these words. They were all men who depended on their clans for survival. The field tax scandal was already known far and wide. Pan Lin would be spat on in the streets when he arrived in Huaizhou. After a moment of silence, Pan Lin spoke up, using Xue Yi's courtesy name. Ping Jing. Like Xue Zhuo's Yan Qing, Xue Yi's courtesy name had been given to him by his grandfather, Old Master Xue. He hurriedly responded, I. Back when I first assumed my post as the Vice Minister of the Ministry of Revenue, I held the real account books in my hand for a long time, but in the end, I didn't hand them over to Secretariat Elder Hai. I abetted the villains, bringing untold suffering to the common folk of the 8 cities. My death is not to be regretted, and there's nothing I could say that would vindicate me. The storm in Chudu has raged for years, and now there is Xue Yanqing. Pan Lin looked at Xue Yi as if seeing his own self many years ago, with choices still before him. The glory of the 8 cities has come to an end. A deafening thunderclap crashed overhead, and a bolt of lightning lit up the room for an instant. Xue Yi thought Pan Lin would give him some heartfelt advice, but he merely said, You should go. Xue Pingjing pushed the box across the table. I brought you some food, he trailed off. As he sat, the rain grew heavier and heavier. The servant outside had come by several times to hurry him. When he at last rose to his feet, his robe was wet to the knee. He bowed in farewell to Pan Lin, who stood, straightened his clothes, and returned the courtesy. Xue Yi couldn't bear to look at him a moment longer. He stepped into the corridor, but couldn't tell which way was out. Pan Lin listened to his receding footsteps, then sat back down at his table. Throughout it all, he had never touched the food box Xue Yi brought. He picked up his brush and neatly wrote the words, Statement of Guilt. This letter was not for the imperial court, but for Pan Xiangjie, a farewell from a son to his father. The letter he wrote was a long one, as if he didn't know how to face his father yet. When he set the brush down, he wept, then cleaned himself up and lay on the tattered mat with his clothes in order. He never opened his eyes again. It's the end of that chapter. Wow. I mean, I don't feel bad for him, but it was still a very solemn moment. All right. I don't really have much to say about this chapter, except it was just interesting. He said the glory of the 8 cities has come to an end, because I remember Wei Huaigu when he was yelling crazily at Xiao Triye about the eight great cities, and he was like, the eight great clans. He was like, we'll always be standing. We are what holds Chudu up. Like, we are the great power. We will always exist. We will always be here. Meanwhile, the glory of the eight cities has come to an end. Yeah. Never get too cocky about anything. All things must come to an end. I'm sorry, all parties must come to an end. Whatever Hua Chong said. So let's move on, unless anyone has anything to say about that chapter. Chapter 230, starting at 45 is what I'll say. And this started. Chapter 230. The Fleeting Months of Spring. Is this a happy chapter? Xiao Tianya leaned back in the rattan chair. Several red threads were pressed between his lips, which he braided with deft fingers. The moonlight after midnight was a watery glow sliding over the bridge of his nose. His heavy-lidded eyes appeared rather lonely. His chin rested on the table, covered with a silk brocade cloth. It hadn't been touched in days. Yao Wenyu didn't make a sound as he opened his eyes and turned to look at Xiao Tianya. Xiao Tianya was like the solitary, lonesome moon hovering above an empty valley after a rainstorm, clear and distant. That unbridled wind had turned into last night's dream, leaving only its shadow upon him. Yao Wenyu had kept the ball with its vibrant silk ribbon from the day of the horse race, but he understood he would never walk to that man's side to give it back. Theirs was the ephemeral 3 months of spring that walked inexorably toward a quiet end, gone as soon as they'd begun. Xiao Tianya took the red braid from between his lips and tied off the tail with a flourish. He reached for Yao Wenyu's hand and wrapped the finished cord around his waist. He reached for Yao Wenyu's hand and wrapped the finished cord around his wrist. For those who do not have the book, here's the image. I'll zoom in. Okay. The happier the chapter sounds, the more upsetting it will be. I think so. Also, the word fleeting is in it, so it's not happy. Hidden behind the lowered drapes, Yuanzhuo peered through the gap at the man inches away. Silently, he started to laugh. Even as he did, dampness slowly spread on his pillow. Xiao Tianya didn't lift the drapes. The mere contact of their fingers conveyed the warmth. The mere contact of their fingers conveyed the warmth between them, as though this was the greatest intimacy they could manage. Any closer, and it would vanish in a blink. Through it all, Yao Wenyu never spoke, as if he had never woken up at all. When Shen Zichuan arrived the next morning, Yao Wenyu was already up. He bent slightly towards Shen Zichuan in what was meant to be a bow. My sudden illness yesterday held up official business, Yao Wenyu said, picking up the mess of weighty pieces on the board. I wanted to finish my discussion with your lordship today, while I'm feeling well enough. Shen Zichuan took a seat. Your illness is only just starting to show improvement. You can rest half a month if you need before continuing our discussion. I have nothing better to do while I'm sick. Yao Wenyu contemplated for a few moments, then continued. The port in Liuzhou is a priority. Completing it will give us a seat at the discussion table in Jueshi. Yao Wenyu's considerations were different from those of Kong Ling and the others. He was much more farsighted, and in this current climate, as hostilities grew between Zhongbo and Chudu, he preferred to focus on collecting virtuous talents for Shen Zichuan than on killing the Zhou Empire's officials. Your lordships, your lordship thinks you're lacking generals, but in my view, it's just the opposite. Yao Wenyu set each Weiqi piece back in place. In the future, the East will not want for fierce generals. Wu Ziyu, Tang Jiu, these are qualified generals capable of leading an army. Once the war is won, with them guarding the frontiers, your lordship will have nothing to worry about on the Eastern Front. What your lordship will need, then, are capable ministers and officials. As gifted as Cheng Feng is, he's unwilling to leave Zhongguo. And while Zhou Gui is loyal, he's not suited for any greater responsibilities. On the other hand, Jueshi and its 13 cities have for years survived without falling into the noble clan's clutches, precisely because the region has a capable minister, Jiang Qingshan. The real reason Xue Yanqing could make such headway in the imperial court is because of his supporters in the pragmatist faction. The heir apparent was only his foot in the door. These supporters are not highly ranked, but they are key in deciding whether the reforms he wants are pushed through. They work in Jueshi for the good of the people and hope to revitalize the Li clan's empire and bring back the glory days in Yongyi. They are scholars with far more boldness of vision than the capital's ministers, and are likely the last worthy officials of the Zhou Empire. The path to the top was difficult in more ways than one. A change of dynasty meant the lifelong dreams of innumerable scholars would be cut short. Even with the imperial court in such a state of decay, neither Hailiang Yi nor Xueqiu Zhuo had ever thought about replacing the Li clan, because the mere suggestion was comparable to patricide. According to all the laws of society, the relationship between a ruler and his subjects was that of a father and his sons. The Li clan had sat on the throne for centuries. It went deeper than just shouting, "Long live your majesty," to the reigning ruler. It meant stability, generations of rulers and subjects upholding the official, legitimate lineage. When Shen Zichuan set foot in Chudu once again, what the prefectural governor would have to conquer was more than one man or woman. It was the legitimacy of the Son of Heaven seated tall and majestic on the dragon throne. He needed heaven to bestow him the right to slay the sovereign, or he would never escape the infamy of being labeled a treacherous object. Yet even the mandate of heaven was far from enough. He would need to convince the surviving officials who'd sworn themselves to the Li clan to willingly put themselves at his disposal. Otherwise, even if he conquered this vast empire, he would never achieve the flourishing era of prosperity of which Qi Huilian had dreamed. Xue Yanqing's cleanup of the 8 cities' fields should have been a great victory, Yao Wenyu continued. But he was too hasty. The 8 cities' field taxes make up a significant portion of Chudu's tax revenue. Now that he has so thoroughly removed the Pan clan of Dancheng, he's left with only 2 options. The first is to push ahead and investigate the remaining 7 cities, resurvey the lands as fast as he can. The first is to push ahead and investigate the remaining 7 cities, resurveying the lands as fast as he can. The second is to slow down and give the remaining noble families a chance to make up tax arrears. If he goes through with the first option, the fields must be returned to the commoners. But those commoners have long since left their homes to scrape out a living in Zhongguo. Reorganizing the household registry of every city will hold up plowing and sowing this year. In that case, the problem of feeding the common folk in Chudu and the 8 cities, Jueshi and Qidong this autumn will fall squarely on Jueshi and Hezhou. If he chooses the second option, the responsibility of the field tax deficits will be spread between the 8 cities, which undoubtedly means the noble clans will continue to pass the costs on to the commoners. Living under an unforgiving regime is no better than living with ferocious beasts. To the people, nothing will have changed. By the time the grain requisitions run Jueshi into the ground, the commoners of the 13 cities will have barely enough to keep their stomachs from growling. If your lordship uses the port of Liuzhou as a foothold to develop an east-west waterway and build out the north-south road, Huzhou and Zhongbo will be able to alleviate Zhuexi's burden. Sunlight slanted beneath the eaves. Holding a weiqi piece between his fingers, Yao Wenyu took a moment to catch his breath before continuing. Your lordship presumably had a plan in mind long before you decided to kill Yan Hezhu. Huzhou is right next to Qidong. Shen Zichuan set down his own piece. If I don't take that land for my own, how can I sleep at night? Shen Zichuan had spoken bluntly. If Qi Juyin were to go all out to protect the Li clan, then Deng Zhou, so close to Qidong, would be Shen Zichuan's key vulnerability. He needed to control Huzhou. An even more important strategic point, only then would he be able to meet Qi Juyin at the table. All Yan Hezhu had ever thought about was business, but Shen Zichuan had far more than business on his mind. Since Qi Juyin had joined forces with Xue Zhuo in the Dancheng case, the heir apparent would surely bestow a noble title upon her. Very soon, she would become a marquis of the Zhou Empire. The garrison troops of the Qidong's 5 garrisons were situated just to the south of Zhongbo. Shen Zichuan had to choke off Qidong's route west, on which Huzhou was the way station. Qi Shuyu is old. Qi Juyin was always Qidong's best choice for Grand Marshal, Shen Zichuan continued. Lu Guangbai remains in Libei because he no longer wishes to be a general of the Zhou Empire. Qi Juyin has had to mend the gap in the Bianzhong commander herself. Tudu wants her to guard the throne, but even if she agrees, she has to be able to travel there. Knowing Qi Juyin, perhaps she really could make it in time. That was why Shen Zichuan had to obstruct the road by any means necessary. Marshal Qi has been greatly troubled by money in recent years. Her willingness to mobilize against the Qingshu tribe was her assessing her options, Yao Wenyu said amid a quiet coughing fit. Shen Zichuan left the topic there. Xiao Tianya has to lead the embroidered uniform cavalry now. He's at the military training grounds all day, so it's to be expected that he has less time to keep you company. I wrote to Shifu and asked him to come to Duanzhou to take care of you. Yao Wenyu didn't refuse, merely dabbing at his mouth with his handkerchief. He's such a long way off. It must be a tiring journey to come all this way for me. Shen Zichuan spotted the red bracelet on Yuanzhou's wrist, hidden by his sleeve until he raised his hand, but didn't ask. Hunu, who had just woken up, brushed against the door as she padded over. Chudu was once your home, Shen Zichuan said. Xi Hongshuan told me you always return to the capital every spring. Next year, or perhaps in a few years, you can see the springtime scenery properly again. Yao Wenyu knew this was Shen Zichuan's way of comforting him. He flashed him a small smile and changed the subject. The Dancheng case is coming to a close. Where will Pan Ling be exiled to? Shen Zichuan lowered his folding fan to hold Hu Nu back. Hong Ling meant to send him to Huaizhou, but he went on a hunger strike at the Chudu relay station. He starved himself to death. Yao Wenyu sat in silence for a long time. Pan Ling had achieved success at a young age, and his career as an official had been smooth sailing. His heated words to Xue Xiuyi at the feast back then had turned out to be prophetic. He had starved to death. After being encumbered by his lineage all his life, he was finally free. Yao Wenyu turned his gaze to the courtyard. Chudu was indeed his former home, but there were no longer any sights worth going back for. That's the end of that chapter. Okay. Nothing happened, but it still feels unsettling. Am I alone in this, or does anyone else feel unsettled? Also, don't tell him next year, or perhaps in a few years, that he can see the springtime scenery properly again in Chudu. Just don't say something like that. Now I feel like it won't happen. Okay. Hmm. Next chapter, I guess. I'll start at 51. That whelp, right? I'm like, I don't know about this. Chapter 231. Faints. For anyone who doesn't have the book, that's faints as in F-E-I-N-T-S, not okay. Moving forward. The day Pan Ling died, Li Tianting's condition finally stabilized. The maids and eunuchs in her palace had barely a moment to weep for joy before they were hauled off to the prison. Since the heir apparent had been poisoned, the condiment service that stocked the kitchens was promptly shut down for investigation, and all the eunuchs on duty were taken into custody. Fu Man, given his seniority in the palace since the reign of the Tianshan Emperor, was placed in charge of this case and put the eunuchs through a ruthless interrogation. Lao Zong, a junior eunuch cried as he sprawled over the bench, unable to stand the beating. Please have mercy. Dressed in a python-patterned robe of 100 pleats and wearing a round, black eunuch's hat, Fu Man stood with his hands behind his back and studied the art on the wall. The eunuchs holding the flogging rod were all old members of the Eastern Depot. Skilled in the art of flogging, they beat the eunuch until he was barely conscious. Mercy! The junior eunuch choked with sobs. Fu Man looked back. All of you were on duty when the heir was poisoned. If you want to live, you had better tell me everything. These inner palace eunuchs had taken up their posts after the Tianshan Emperor's time and had no experience with intrigue. None of them had any idea what the heir apparent had been. None of them had any idea what the heir apparent had even been poisoned with. There was nothing they could tell. Think, what did the heir apparent eat, and where that day? Fu Man asked patiently. There were so many people in the condiment service. Perhaps a few bad actors infiltrated your ranks. You've always been close with the others there, haven't you? So why can't you think of anything? The eunuch caught his hint, but he didn't dare speculate on where Fu Man was leading him. He hemmed and hawed without saying a word. Fu Man flung his sleeves in exasperation at the eunuch's denseness, then ordered the old eunuch with the rod to continue the flogging. Blood saturated the young eunuch's mouth. Digging his fingers into the bench, he whimpered, Stop it. I'll tell you. Fu Man ignored him. The young eunuch gulped down blood. The condiment service and the garden service. There were new faces I didn't recognize. Only then did Fu Man turn slightly and say, voice soft, Did you speak to them? The eunuch shook his head hard, not daring to answer. He raised his eyes tentatively, trying to read Fu Man's expression, then repeated in a small voice, I didn't recognize them. If you didn't recognize them, how do you know which services they belong to? Fu Man asked patiently. Someone must have told you, and that was how you knew. It was the one who stands guard at the door, the eunuch answered. Fu Man bent down. How can a guard like that get close to the heir apparent? The one who serves the heir most frequently is usually the one who knows the most. Are you leading them to say Feng Chuan? I know it. The young eunuch didn't dare breathe too heavily as he followed Fu Man's lead and answered. Feng Chen is usually the one serving. Fu Man clapped softly. There you go. That wasn't so hard, was it? Sorry. Okay. Sometimes you gotta lead the horse to water and you gotta teach it how to drink. And if it don't know how to drink, you gotta duck its head in there. with its mouth open. Oh my God. Hmm. Okay. Ah, oh God, sudden death. Hmm. Okay, let me continue. But that was so funny. With the case in Fuman's hands, the chances of identifying the true culprit was less than zero. In fact, the one who had planted people in Li Jianting's palace at Han Chang's instigation was none other than himself. Yeah, I figured that much. The poison had nothing to do with the condiment service. It lay in the chopsticks Li Jianting had eaten with that day. During the uproar that broke out when she collapsed, Fu Man had gotten someone to replace the original chopsticks and clean up any traces. Fu Man stepped out of the Sorry. Also, I said that word wrong anyway. Fu Man stepped out of the interrogation hall. As he looked toward the courtyard's entrance, he spotted a sedan and its bearers waiting for him under a pagoda tree. The supervising officials from the Ministry of Justice had already left. Fu Man was on guard as he lifted the hem of his robe and strode forward with a smile on his face. What distinguished person is looking for me? Send a message and I'll be there. No need to come and invite me personally. Although, I do happen to have a case to attend to right now and can't get away. The curtain on the sedan twitched aside, and Han Chung's sneering voice floated out. It's only been a few days since I saw you, and you've started to put on airs in front of me. You son of a bitch. What? I can't order you around now? This motherfucker. Fu Man bent obediently at the waist. This humble servant thought it was those old fogies from the Grand Secretariat. They've been sticking to me like glue while I investigate this case. They're irritating to the extreme. I never expected it to be your excellency. But of course, the moment this humble servant sees you, it's as if, how should I put it, like a baby sparrow seeking refuge in the woods. He played dumb, knowing Han Chung was a sucker for mindless flattery. Sure enough, Han Chung brightened. He drew down the curtain and commanded, Follow me. Fu Man cursed under his breath as he walked behind the sedan, keeping his resentment pent up in his heart. When they arrived at their destination, Han Chung's private residence, he knew the man wanted to ask him about the heir apparent's case. But the moment he stepped through the door, before he could even start toadying up to Han Chung, the gleam of blades in the hands of Han Chung's men nearly blinded him. He forgot what he was going to say and dropped to his knees. Look at the guts of you. Han Chung poured tea for himself, but he didn't tell Fu Man to get up. You thought yourself a second Pandrugwe? Are you even worthy? No, definitely not worthy. Bracing himself against the ground, Fu Man bent his mouth in an apologetic smile. This humble servant is but a lowly slave. How could I compare to Lao Zedong? I wouldn't dream of it. Han Chung set the teapot down. I told you to poison Li Jianting. What did you give her? Fu Man's back was drenched in cold sweat. He couldn't hesitate. He recited what he'd rehearsed to himself countless times. This humble servant did as Commander Han said and gave her swift pursuit. How strange, Han Chung sneered. A poison that can take out several strong men can't even kill one woman. Fu Man felt a chill at the back of his neck. Those were real blades, and by now they were pressing right against his skin. The muscles on his face twitched. He slapped himself and cried, Such an accusation is the most terrible attack on my devotion. How could this humble servant dare plot with an outsider to harm a man I revere as my own father? Xue Yanqing, Kong Chu, and the others detest eunuchs and order me around like livestock. I really did use swift pursuit. I even kept the chopsticks. I would never be sloppy. Fu Man paused to wipe his tears. I'm puzzled too. It's truly mind-boggling. It was swift pursuit without a doubt, but the air only threw up a few times. That's all. If that's not absurd, I don't know what is. Han Chung was livid. Li Jianting's life and death directly affected his plans. He deployed the 8th Grade Battalions on the gamble that the heir apparent would die that night. But to everyone's surprise, Li Jianting had pulled through. The Danchang case was still open, and Xueshu Zhuo intended to continue investigating. Now that the Pan clan was gone, next on the chopping block would be the Hulian Marquise's Fei clan. Everyone from the remaining 7 cities was in danger. Have you mentioned the poisoning to anyone else? I wouldn't dare, Fu Man gasped. That better be true. Han Chang flung away the teacup in his hand. You're the one who botched this, so clean it up. None of the people you placed in her palace can be allowed to live. Use this opportunity to dispose of them all. Had Li Jianting been poisoned with swift pursuit, she would be in her grave. Either someone had intercepted and swapped the poison, or Fu Man had never poisoned her with swift pursuit in the first place. Regardless, the people serving her in the bedchamber were all loose ends. It was very possible someone else had slipped their people in. Han Chang knew eunuchs were a crafty lot. These castrated vermin were second to none at trimming their sails and going wherever the wind blew. Fu Man was no different. Now that the noble clans had taken a hit, there was no guarantee Fu Man wouldn't get any funny ideas. Keeping him around any longer was asking for trouble. Han Chang was suspicious by nature, and by now, he was like a hunted bird startled by the mere twang of a blow. Han Chang was suspicious by nature, and by now he was like a hunted bird startled by the mere twang of a bow. He stood and glared at Fu Man, then took a few steps toward the eunuch, ready to end him on the spot. Sensing that his head was in imminent danger of parting from his shoulders, Fu Man cried out in desperation, "The Grand Secretary! He personally ordered me to investigate the case." I'm so sorry. He personally ordered me to investigate the case. There's still a chance to turn this around. Don't worry, Commander. I'll clean this up properly. The supervising officials from the Ministry of Justice are all familiar with me. If anything goes awry, I'll come to you with my head on a platter. Unfortunately, Han Chang still needed him, at least until the investigation was complete. Taking in Fu Man's ghastly pallor and his useless cringing, he merely said, "Mess up again, and the Empress Dowager will be the one who takes your head, even if I want to save you. You want to be a top eunuch, but you're not there yet." Fu Man concurred, his heart in his mouth. You see, I was expecting a liked character death. Oh, gosh. I wasn't expecting a death, but it was, I don't know, it's just something. You said, I'm just checking comments that I missed. Okay. While gray clouds and misty rain dominated the sky for days on end in Chengdu, sun shone down on the front lines of the north. On Xiao Chuye's orders, the commanding generals of Li Bei now rotated through the 3 sand camps. Today, it was Xiao Chuye's turn at first sand camp. Lu Guangbai stepped out of his tent to receive him, and Xiao Chuye removed his helmet in greeting before tossing it over so he could dismount. Lu Guangbai jumped to catch Xiao Chuye's helmet and saw the large dent on it. Hassan's much better than we are at playing with catapults. Xiao Chuye handed his reins to Chen Yang and removed his arm guard. They destroyed Second Sand Camp's watchtower yesterday. Oh, the way it's written in the book is like yes, dash. So I thought he was saying yes. I'm going to read that again. Okay. They destroyed Second Sand Camp's watchtower yesterday. Better send someone to Shifu. Have him dispatch craftsmen over here to repair it. Jiming only just sent a group of craftsmen this way. If it's urgent, we can send the craftsmen at border camp up for now. Lu Guangbai handed the helmet to Chen Yang. The wall of Third Sand Camp has repaired only to collapse again. Tianchu Shifu can't spare you any men. Xiao Chuye's skin had tanned from exposure in recent months. Watching Meng circle over the camp, he said, "The Biansha horsemen's numbers are increasing." After Xiao Chuye took out the Duanzhou scorpions, Hassan had started to intensify his attacks. It was glaringly obvious by the third month. Hassan was frantically assembling men in the east, and the Biansha horsemen's numbers were skyrocketing. Last year, the horsemen could only launch an assault with one main force, while the rest of their soldiers carried out smaller scale sneak attacks. Now, Hassan could split his forces to launch full scale attacks on two camps at the same time. Amur sent Hassan north, but he didn't go south himself. He went east, Lu Guangbai said. He wants to expand his territory deeper into the desert and bring the remaining 6 tribes under his rule as soon as possible. It's likely Amur's newly acquired forces are giving Hassan the numbers to launch simultaneous attacks. Xiao Chuye wiped the dust from his cheeks with a pensive expression. But Hassan has been uneven on the battlefield as of late, Lu Guangbai observed. Xiao Chuye had been the one to personally kill Achi, the leader of the scorpions in Duanzhou. Hassan had assumed that, after returning to the front lines, Xiao Chuye would lead his new armored cavalry out of the camps and onto the battlefield. Instead, Xiao Chuye had stayed well out of reach. Hassan had been given no opportunity to come face to face with Li Bei's new equipped forces. It was as if they had swapped places. An unknown danger was one that couldn't be forestalled or countered. As long as the capabilities of Xiao Chuye's new cavalry remained a mystery, Hassan couldn't call the shots. The battles Hassan fought on both the northern and southern battlefields were all ones he was sure he would win. Xiao Chuye absently turned his thumb ring, and his victories are owed in part to his familiarity with our commanding generals. The exhilarating battle Tang Jiu Qing had fought at First Yan Camp was proof of the strategic value of unpredictability. Xiao Jiming had seen this, which was why he had shuffled the commanding generals on the front line. Only when Hassan met with the Li Bei armored cavalry again did he realize what Xiao Jiming had done. Xiao Jiming was the kind of commander-in-chief Hassan disliked most. Even when he couldn't keep up with the enemy's pace, he never got flustered. He always seemed to maintain his composure. This was both Xiao Jiming's character and his style of conducting war. He understood he couldn't beat Hassan head-to-head, so he never thought of besting Hassan on the battlefield itself. Instead, he had spent the last few months slowing Li Bei's rhythm. The armored cavalry was in the process of recovery. Even if they couldn't win every skirmish, they wouldn't let Hassan lead them around by the nose as they had before. Even Hassan is bound to get impatient when he's so close to his goal, Xiao Chuye said thoughtfully. After all, he's also anxious for victory. Xiao Jiming wanted to give this opportunity to Xiao Chuye. Lu Guangbai looked at Xiao Chuye. Amur has invested all his efforts in Hassan. The outcome of his son's battles is a matter of Amur's dignity in the face of the other tribes. If Hassan can't win, then Amur cannot become the future great king of the 12 tribes. Xiao Chuye didn't care why Hassan wanted to win. He only cared to claim Hassan's head. Lu Guangbai seemed to understand this, so he didn't belabor the point. Instead, he said, another source of Hassan's apprehension is the south. Now that Marshal Qi is fighting the Qingshu tribe, they're facing pressure from both directions. But was Hassan genuinely anxious over the northern and southern battlefields? Xiao Chuye felt that there was more to Hassan's recent onslaughts, that perhaps they were a diversion to disguise his real target. Between the fighting of wars of attrition on two fronts, dragging things out indefinitely, the most strategic place to attack was Zhongbo. Hassan was good at feints. Xiao Chuye kept his eyes fixed on every move his enemy made. His understanding of Hassan had already far exceeded Hassan's understanding of him. He stalked him now like a wolf in the dark. I don't think I have anything to say. Also, I feel like I read a lot, but also didn't. 7. Oh. Have I really? Has it really only been an hour and 15 minutes, but technically an hour of reading and we've made it through essentially 30 pages. Cool. I think I've got room for one more then. You feel like these chapters are short. Yeah. Yeah, actually I feel like all of these chapters except one of the opening chapters have been short. It just kind of, I was just kind of like, whoa. I thought I was only reading 3 chapters today, but it's literally been like I have a whole hour left before having to do the work thing that I have to do for like a second. So I can definitely read another chapter. I know, Meg, that you won't be able to stay, um, but I have another in me. So we're gonna read to chapter 232 after our take like a mini blueberry break. So blueberry and drink. I try to remind myself to drink while I read, but like when in the moment of reading the story, I'm just kind of like, where do I find a good moment to stop? Because, I don't want to like mess up the flow by taking a swig. Yeah, you got to go in like 10 minutes. Oh, yeah. I wish I could read faster and we could all understand faster and I could finish it, finish it in 10 minutes. But you'll definitely have to come back to listen to this one. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Chapter 232, Snow Melt Blood. I don't like this chapter title. We don't need any floods, okay? I'm just going to say that. Casually reads with a mouthful of berries. Hold on. Let me try it. I don't think that would be fun for you guys. Hold on. Okay. Here we go. Chapter 232. Snow Melt Blood. That's a bad idea. I'm not going to do it. At least it's not Snowcrest blood. Rubies. Oh my. Why would you say that? But you were right. Hey, at least it's not Snowcrest blood, but Snow Melt blood. Right, not another flood. Here we go. Also, the one thing I will say about the previous chapter is that I'm glad that Xiao Chuye has such a great understanding of Hassan. Anyway. If I'm Hassan, Xiao Chuye said as he squatted and sketched a simple map in the sand, my best bet is to attack Duanzhou. Shen Zichuan had severed a Moor supply route through Duanzhou, so the burden of Hassan's military provisions was now entirely borne by the 6 desert tribes. Amur had allowed Hassan to marry Dorlan at the beginning of this year precisely because he needed her Hulu tribe to supply food to the front lines. Since the 6th month last year, the Bianxia horsemen hadn't been able to cross into the Zhou Empire to pillage. This was the true source of Hassan's anxiety. In that case, you'll have to think carefully, Lu Guangbai said, falling into his new role. He crouched, too, and placed a stone on the top of Duanzhou Xiao Chuye had marked in the sand. If you launch a surprise attack on Duanzhou, Shen Zichuan will mobilize Tan Taihu, who's currently stationed in Duanzhou. Did I say Duanzhou the first time? I don't know, so I'm just read that again. If you launch a surprise attack on Duanzhou, Shen Zichuan will mobilize Tan Taihu, who's currently stationed in Duanzhou, to engage in a fierce battle with you. While you're tied down, he'll call for reinforcements from the Bianjuan Commandery and 3rd Sand Camp, and their troops will trap you in Duanzhou, never to return. I can run. Xiao Chuye drew a circle around the stone with his finger. I have the faster cavalry. The goal is not to take Duanzhou, but to loot their granaries. I can even raid the newly built stables on Mount Luo on the way back. The reinforcements from the north and south won't be able to catch up to me. You're forgetting Marshal Qi, Lu Guangbai said. When you leave the front line, the marshal will go east to Gadal and kick you in the ass. That's exactly what I want. Xiao Zhiye rolled the stone toward the Bianzhong commandery. If Marshal Qi goes to Gadal, I'll give the Qishu tribe's territory to the Youxiong tribe and let the Youxiong tribe cut off her retreat. She'll be trapped in Gadal, and we can destroy her in one fell swoop. Lu Guangbai blocked the stone with the back of his hand. Marshal Qi won't dare to penetrate deep into enemy territory with such a small force unless she has reinforcements. She can transfer the Tang Jiu Commandery garrison troops to the Bianzhong Commandery. When the Youxiong tribe tries to block her path, the Tang Jiu troops will be in position to hit them back. Besides, the Youxiong tribe has yet to pledge allegiance to Wamur. They might not be willing to step forward as your shields. They will, Xiao Zhiye argued. The Youxiong tribe refused to submit to Wamur because the Qingshu tribe was a bulwark between them and the Tidong garrison troops. Once the Qingshu tribe's been wiped out, the Youxiong tribe won't be able to hold their power against her next round of attacks. They'll have to pledge allegiance to Amur if they want reinforcements from us. Lu Guangbai hesitated for a moment. He put the stone back on Duanzhou, resetting the map. Okay, let's say I can't count on Marshal Qi's reinforcements from the south. I'll still put more men in the north at Mount Luo to guard against you. When I attack, I'll destroy the road between Mount Luo and Duanzhou, Xiao Zhiye said. Without the road, your reinforcements will be stuck. You'll have no choice but to run in circles on Mount Luo while my cavalry rides off. Lu Guangbai pushed the stone along the sand. You have to cross the Chashi River on your journey. You have to cross the Chashi River on your return journey. I'll lie in ambush along the banks. Even if you whittle down my military strength at the banks of the Chashi River, Xiao Zhiye said, raising his eyes, I'll have already achieved my goal. Lu Guangbai touched a finger to the bridge of his nose and barked out a wry laugh. Ruthless. The land along the banks of the Chashi River was a desert and barren land. The ambushes Lu Guangbai excelled at relied heavily on the terrain. He had no advantage at the Chashi River. His war chariot battle formation might be able to withstand attacks from the cavalry, but it couldn't give chase. Lu Guangbai wouldn't be able to catch up to Hassan's forces. If Xiao Zhiye's guess was correct, and Hassan really did move on Duanzhou in a surprise attack, not only would Hassan be able to obtain the supplies he needed, he could also set up new obstructions for Qiju Yin in the south, thereby relieving himself of the pressure of two battlefronts. Xiao Zhiye spread his fingers and covered the map with his hand. Hassan still has eyes on Chudu. He can see the whole game board. As twilight closed in on all sides, cooking smoke began to rise from the camp. Lu Guangbai sat on the ground and weighed the stone in his palm as he watched warm orange light wash over the camp walls. Under the lingering glow of the sun, he said, but you can't get away. Hassan was launching new offensives on the front line every day. They were all tied down here, unable to spare any thought for Zhongbo to the south. Who's talking? Okay. A fierce offense means he's starting to run out of food. Xiao Zhiye peered at the map between his fingers. If he can't hold the armored cavalry here, he'll lose a portion of his elite troops in Duanzhou. Hassan was trying to break down Li Bei's main forces at the three camps along the front line. Only once his enemies were completely worn down could he afford to send his elite forces to mount an attack on Duanzhou. If Li Bei was too exhausted to respond, then the threat posed by any reinforcements would be much smaller. It would be the optimal time to attack. Lu Guangbai tossed the stone to Xiao Zhiye. This is an opportunity we can exploit. A surprise attack would no longer be so threatening if they could see through Hassan's motives. Hassan could feint, but so could the Li Bei armored cavalry. Fighting a war of attrition was detrimental to both parties, but Xiao Zhiye was more confident of success. Unlike Hassan, he had Shenzi to supply his provisions. To date, the only one of them who posed a true threat to Amur in this war was Shenzi. His supply route was the web that kept the eastern territories of Libei, Zhongbo, and Tidong secure and unassailable. We'll tie him up here till the end of the 6th month. Xiao Jie took the stone and tossed it into the middle of the scrawled map. I'll lead the elite troops from the 2nd Sand Camp to Bianjuan. You and Shifu pretend to tire under Hassan's attacks. As soon as he backs off, that will be the signal that he's about to attack Duanzhou. Well, I'll be waiting for him. 3 months was just right. Hassan would dispatch his troops at the height of summer, when the granaries were full. If provisions were his goal, he couldn't afford to pass up such an opportunity. By now, the horizon had darkened. Xiao Jie stood and whistled toward the sky. Wings flapping, Meng circled once before landing on Xiao Jie's shoulder. Lu Guangbai patted dust off his robe as he stood, and the two walked side by side to the tent. Chunyang was waiting at the entrance to lift the flap for them. That was very choppy. Chunyang was waiting at the entrance to lift the flap for them. As Xiao Jie ducked to enter, he whispered, "Master, letters from the governor and Gu Jin have both arrived." Xiao Jie took the letters and stopped at the entrance to read them. Lu Guangbai drank half a bowl of milk tea while he waited. After a long time without any sound from the entrance of the tent, he looked back at Xiao Jie, only to see him standing perfectly still, his expression dark. Okay, that's not the end of the chapter, but Meg, for you, that might be a good stopping point, since there's a break in the page. I don't want to eat this blueberry. I want to paint it. So sorry. Can we even paint a blueberry? I don't know. Okay. Sorry. Gotta stay hydrated. Several days later, Fu Man was summoned to the office of the Grand Secretariat. He removed his damp outer layer and gathered up his robe before walking in and bowing to Kong Chu. Kong Chu, sitting by the window, made a sound of acknowledgement and gestured for Fu Man to rise. Fu Man gingerly straightened and stood in wait at the far end of the room, behind the rest of the ministers. Have fun at work. His lowered eyes swept across the black boots beside him. He recognized most of the officials present. You're welcome. And the spring plowing has just ended. Huaizhou bought grain from Baimazhou. Yang Tingshan sold it to them, calculating its cost based on the price of grain in Juexi, Liang Suishan said, finishing his report. Hongchu's hair had begun to go white in recent days, though not yet enough to be seen from under his official's hat. Qidong is fighting a war now. They have priority for military funds. The A-grade battalion's expenses can be reduced accordingly. How do we go in the kitchen? You still haven't listened to the last QJJ reading, but you're at work and wanted to say hi. Well, hey, we are on the last chapter for the day, so you'll have some catching up to do. Yeah, we've got like 6 pages. Yeah, 6 pages and a quarter or so left. Right, Rohit's going white. You know what? Maybe I need to be stressed out more often, and my hair will turn silver faster. At least I'm hoping for silver. I don't want gray hair. I mean, the gray will still be beautiful, but I'm really hoping for silver. And when I look at my dad's beard, I just might get it. I don't know for my granny because she's bald completely. So I want silver hair. Okay, I'm sorry, I got distracted. Let's continue. Here it comes, thought Fu Man. If the Grand Secretary wanted to keep digging into the accounts of the 8 cities, they had to first pare down Han Cheng's power. The Ministry of War agrees. Chen Zhen, the Minister of War, tapped his pipe. But Han Cheng has refused to let go of the funds. He wants a writ from the Grand Secretariat. What he wants is a signed acknowledgement from the throne, Sun Yu said. The Dancheng case has yet to conclude, and to avoid any appearance of bias, the Empress Dowager can't sign off on it. The Grand Secretariat is in agreement on this matter, or we wouldn't have brought it up with him. But look at him, daring this shameless refusal. The Empress Dowager was just barely hanging on herself, never mind maintaining enough authority to approve memorials. The whole Hua clan was on tenterhooks. How had the heir apparent been poisoned? Everyone knew all too well. Handing the poisoning case to Fu Man and the inner court was Kong Chu's magnanimous gesture to preserve the last shred of the Empress Dowager's dignity. Still, Han Cheng refused to budge from his post as the head of the embroidered uniform guard and the de facto commander of the 8 great battalions. He meant to follow in Hua Sichan's footsteps, relying on military might to challenge the Grand Secretariat. Fu Man had been buttering his bread on both sides, all for this very moment. If Han Cheng cast him out, he could still jump onto the Grand Secretariat's ship. He had made a point to appear frequently before Hailiang Yi, and had spent the longest time of any of the inner palace eunuchs in the Grand Secretariat's office compound. The junior eunuch's address of Lao Tzu Zong, old ancestor, was not casually given. His orders carried real weight among them. He'd been keeping such a tight grip on the heir's case not only because he wanted to cleanly extricate himself from any suspicion, but also because he hoped to make Feng Quan the scapegoat. The Tianshan Emperor had favored his concubine Mu Zhu, incurring the displeasure of the Grand Secretariat when he promoted her brother, Feng Quan, against the palace rules. Even the Chief Surveillance Bureau had censured him for it at the time. Later, when the Tianshan Emperor died at Mu Zhu's hands, it was only through Xue Xiujuo's grace that Feng Quan continued to drag out his ignoble existence. Fu Man didn't dare court the wrath of Xue Xiujuo, but he could see as well as any that the heir apparent was the future master of their great Zhou. He had to knock Feng Quan out of the game before he could claim a spot at the heir's side. If Fu Man could insert himself there instead, he could count on the heir for a life of wealth and glory to come. So, I'm going to keep reading. Save my comment if I don't forget it. As for Han Cheng and Kong Qiu, Fu Man didn't think much of them either. He couldn't help but remember Pan Zhuge, who'd so deftly corralled the Pan faction and sat on equal footing with Hua Sichan. Achievements only possible due to the Guangcheng Emperor's trust in him. It wasn't easy to being a eunuch. I don't know why I'm messing up, y'all. It wasn't easy being a eunuch, having to be ordered around like a dog. But if one found the right answer, he could be a dog that lorded over millions. Let me read that again. I don't. What am I doing? And where was I? Did my page just flip? How did my page flip like that? I'm sorry, y'all. My book just went back several pages. Holy hell. I'm sorry, I have to find my spot because when I lifted my thing, my pages flipped back, so now I'm lost. Where am I? Had been buttering himself, it didn't dare. But found. Okay, here I am. I don't know what happened. Okay, sorry. I'm just gonna read that again. Okay. It wasn't easy being a eunuch, having to be ordered about like a dog. But if one found the right master, he could be a dog that lorded over millions, a dog that everyone had to deferentially address as Zuzong. Fu Man sensed Kong Qiu looking at him. He shook off his distraction and stepped forward to bow, a complete turnabout from his attitude in front of Han Cheng. He said deferentially, "This humble servant has thoroughly investigated the matter as Your Excellency ordered. The seasonal vegetables consumed by the heir apparent that day were sourced by our garden service." Near the bottom. Thank you. Yeah, I guess my book was like, ooh. It's like, freak. "Aren't those exclusively supplied to the palace?" Kong Qiu asked. "Who is the eunuch in charge there?" "Someone named Yinju," Fu Man continued. "I've carefully interrogated everyone in the heir's palace. None of them has any ties to the garden service. The rules in the palace are strict. They wouldn't normally cross paths." The poison made its way into the vegetables of the garden service, yet they could pass through so many hands to be served to the heir. Such a plot wouldn't be possible without careful planning. As the head of the Ministry of Justice, Kong Qiu's deductions were clear and organized. The perpetrator must be both capable and have a clear grasp of the heir's preferences, something that would take at least half a year of effort. Fu Man murmured in agreement. This humble servant did in fact find such a person. Kong Qiu traded a glance with Sun Yu. "Who?" Fu Man hesitated for a moment. "Feng Quan." Feng Quan had once held the position of the director of the seal at the Directorate of Ceremonial Affairs. The garden service had been under his jurisdiction and was tied closely to the Directorate for Culinary Arts, which prepared the palace's meals. Not only was he the heir apparent's personal attendant, he was also someone the Empress Dowager had insisted on saving. Compared to a universal flatterer like Fu Man, who fawned over everyone he came across, Feng Quan was more guarded. He couldn't be cleared of suspicion at all. Kong Qiu furrowed his brow. "The eunuch who served the Tianshan Emperor? Isn't he already dead?" "One would think," Fu Man agreed softly. "But somehow, he's been by the heir apparent's side for over half a year. He looks different now. So much so that this humble servant didn't recognize him when he came with the heir apparent to Mingli Hall." Kong Qiu mulled over this news. The room had lapsed into silence when the announcement of Xue Shujuo's arrival came from the main entrance. Liang Cuishan hadn't made it this far without learning to preserve his own life. These matters of the inner court concerned the heir apparent and were not his to meddle in. He took the opportunity to stand and retreat from the room just as Xue Shujuo entered. Xue Shujuo's official's hat was slightly damp from the rain. When he spotted Fu Man standing at the side of the room, he didn't ask about it. He bowed to Kong Qiu, who made no more mention of Feng Quan as he bade Xue Shujuo to take a seat. As the Chashi River thawed, the warmth of spring in Duanzhou turned into an endless drizzle that misted the air for days. The rain pelted the peach blossoms in the courtyard until fallen petals covered the ground in a wet blanket of red. Shen Zichuan met with his advisors in the hall daily, usually sitting for several hours at a time, so Fei Sheng added a charcoal brazier to dispel the cold. Now that Yan Heru's disappeared, the businesses in Hezhou are a mess. Yu Shaozai sat just below Kong Ling, near the charcoal brazier. The merchants are in an uproar for fear that the deals they made with him at the start of the year will fall through. They came to Jiazhou in hope of discussing it with your lordship. We also have to send someone to the port as soon as possible to liaise with the local yamen. Yao Wenyu seemed a bit better today. He steadily answered. The spring plowing has just ended, which will free up some personnel from our yamen in the other prefectures. And there is Wang Xian in Chazhou. who is familiar with matters of taxation. There's no need for your lordship to meet them in person. Whatever deals were made in the past, we'll honor them, Shen Zichuan said, holding a hand warmer between his palms. Wang Xian will handle it. Wang Xian had once been the secretary of the Ministry of Revenue, where his job was contending with the various ministries that requested funds. Even Xiao Churye had hit a brick wall when it came to him. There was no one more suitable than this man to negotiate with the merchants. The Yan clan was the one greasing the wheels with the Liuzhou prefect. Talk to them. Ask them if they can locate Yan Hezhu. If they cannot, Shen Zichuan continued, turning over the document, tell them to hurry up and send someone capable of taking over his responsibilities. Qi Juyin was still in Chudu, but the Yan clan was slated to complete the delivery of the remaining military provisions to Qidong in the 4th month. No one would ever find Yan Hezhu again. At present, his successors in the Yan estate were likely fighting like cats and dogs. Shen Zichuan merely intended to drop them a reminder to hand over the grain they owed him before they got distracted dividing the properties and splitting the family. With that, official matters concluded for the day. Observing that Qiao Qianya had yet to return from the drill ground, Shen Zichuan turned to Yu Xiaozai. Yu Jing, you mentioned that the workings of each prefectural yamen are complicated and particular to their own region. Why don't you prepare a report for me? Follow Shen Wei's example. Keep it brief and to the point. To Ya Wenyu, he said, Shifu is in my courtyard today. Stay and take your meal with me, Yuanzhuo. The advisors stood one after another and bowed to the prefectural governor before taking their leave. Jigong was sitting under the eaves, watching Ding Tao practice his boxing. As soon as he saw the advisors coming out, he sent Ding Tao to instruct the kitchen to prepare the dishes. Remembering Fei Sheng's orders, Ding Tao left Li Xiong in the courtyard to protect the prefectural governor while he flew down the steps and dashed off to deliver the message. Qiao Qianya had always been the one pushing Yao Wenyu's wheelchair, but these days, Jigong had taken over the job. By the time Qiao Qianya returned, it was dark. Ding Tao and Li Xiong stood on each side of the entrance like a pair of guardian door gods. Arms folded, Ding Tao said to Qiao Tianya with a cool detachment, If his lordship hasn't summoned you, you can't Qiao Tianya shoved Ding Tao's head down and lifted the hanging screen to peer inside. He's already left. Ding Tao wriggled free. After the meal, his lordship asked Grandpa T to will him back. You should have said so earlier. Where's the governor? Getting ready for bed, Ding Tao answered. He's in the bath now. You didn't even get someone to close the windows in the hall. The wind's freezing at night. Qiao Qianya eyed Ding Tao. If the governor catches a cold, when old Fei comes back, he's going to scold you until dawn. Ding Tao had indeed forgotten, but immediately protested anyway. No, I remembered. I was just about to close them. At once, he scampered into the hall to close the windows one at a time. As he retreated, he bumped the back of his head against something hard. Thinking Fei Sheng had returned, he hastily covered his head with his hands. But when he looked back to begin defending himself, he flinched and clamped his mouth shut. Xiao Churye lowered Wolf's Fang. Having stopped Ding Tao with his scabbard, he craned his neck as he searched for Shen Zichuan. His face was damp with rain and sweat. He'd yet to remove his heavy armor, and his boots were splattered with mud. He had rushed here straight from the battlefield. I sure was thinking as I read. I was like, I mean, yeah, Fei Sheng might scold him. I was like, but let Xiao Churye find out. Only for him to be there. What the heck? Okay. Well, that was the end of that chapter. Nice. Oh, I'm going to read chapter 33. It's literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 and a quarter pages. Yeah. Wait. Let me make sure there's nothing inappropriate. I don't want to read smut live, so hold on. No, I don't think so. So this is the last chapter. 1 hour and 45 minutes is when I'll usually start. Let me just take a all right, last little bit. Chapter 233, To Love and to Fear. The rain was still falling when Shantachuan returned from the bath. In a wide-sleeved robe, but without his wooden clogs, he padded barefoot down the corridor leading to his bedchamber. Thunder rumbled overhead. The humid breeze pressed against his face even through the newly fitted window gauze, while the staccato sound of rain dispelled the stifled feeling Shantachuan had from sitting too long. Candlesticks lined the sides of the covered walkway, making it more brightly illuminated than the bedchamber itself. Shantachuan lingered there, as if hoping for a fresh breeze. Shadows stretched through the bamboo blinds and onto the rug in the bedchamber, while the orange glow of the candlelight illuminated his profile, painting one side of his neck a warm and vivid red. The 4th month was the season when crop seedlings sprouted and grew. If this bout of rain persisted, Duanzhou's fields near the Chashi River might end up inundated by a spring flood. Shantachuan had given Kongling instructions to see to Duanzhou's dams last month, but he had forgotten to follow up about it today. Reckoning Fei Sheng should be back by now, Shantachuan lifted the blinds and searched the bedchamber for the wooden clogs he had kicked off, preparing to summon him for a report. Xiao Zhiye had long since removed his armor and was lying sleepily on the bed with his head pillowed on his arms. Hearing movement, he rolled over. Just as Lanzhou picked up his clogs, he brushed the bed curtain aside and poked his head out. Shantachuan jumped and dropped the wooden clogs. Still holding the curtain, Xiao Zhiye asked, "Is it true about the venerable master?" Shantachuan schooled his expression and nodded. Xiao Zhiye's heart, which had been suspended the entire way here, plummeted completely into the abyss. He fell back onto the bedding with his arms spread, looking as if he was ready to go to his death. Bracing his hand against the edge of the bed, Shantachuan looked tentatively down at Xiao Zhiye. "Did you rush all the way back here for this?" In his search for Yidong, Xiao Zhiye had scoured every inch of Libei and watched attentively as Xiao Jiming wrote more than a dozen letters to the venerable master. Now the man was gone before he'd even seen him. After a long silence, he asked, "And Yan Hezhu?" Shantachuan drew a finger sharply across his neck. Xiao Zhiye fell silent, his face frosty and grave. He suddenly turned and buried his face in the pillow, refusing to look at Shantachuan. If he'd had a tail, it would be drooping to the ground. Who's talking? Okay. "We'll look for physicians in Jiuxi," he said into the pillow. "And there's still the Imperial Academy of Medicine in Chudu." Shantachuan didn't say a word. He laid an icy hand upon Xiao Zhiye's neck and slid up to stroke his cheek. Xiao Zhiye caught hold of those slender fingers and gripped them fiercely. The rain seemed to extinguish his wrath, leaving only despair and panic in its wake. He attempted to calm himself, but those feelings roiled in his chest. "Silan," Shantachuan called. "There were countless skilled physicians living in seclusion or retirement," Xiao Zhiye went on. "We'll find as many as we can. Every last one. Then we'll—" Shantachuan withdrew his fingers. Feeling his palm empty, Xiao Zhiye tried to sit up, but Shantachuan splayed his hand on Xiao Zhiye's back and pushed him down. "Aya," he said, leaning down with his hand still pressing on Xiao Zhiye, unusually forceful. "You heard what Tianqiu Shifu said before. Even with Master Yidong, I might never be completely rid of my illness, but This body is not so bad yet. He gentled his tone. I've been taking my medicine on time, and I haven't fallen sick this year. The muscles of Xiao Chuye's back were tense. Shen Zichuan knocked his head against the back of Xiao Chuye's shoulder. Softly, he said, I'm not going to leave you. The rain outside the room pattered down, a chorus of finely woven beats. Xiao Chuye's chest felt hollowed, like a damp and clammy cave. Through the layers of fabric, Shen Zichuan pressed his cheek against Xiao Chuye's tattoo, right over the scar. You're lying to me, Xiao Chuye answered in the same soft voice. He had once thought Xiao Fengshu would never leave him, but their parting had come with such haste that he hadn't even had a chance to bid his old man farewell. There existed a hidden boundary between people. Cross that line, and it was a parting by death. The other side was a world into which one could never give chase. You gave your life to the Grand Mentor. Xiao Chuye's voice sounded muffled and heavy in the darkness. You vowed to kill his mortal enemies, and you stood alone before the noble clans without fear. Back in Chengdu, you told me to leave you, and then you hurt yourself in Chazhou and Dunzhou. Those two incidents had left behind a dormant fuse in Xiao Chuye's heart, igniting and expanding to unbearable proportions after Xiao Fengshu's demise. He felt fresh fear every time he thought of it, even so long after the fact. His terror and panic came not only from Shen Zichuan's fragile health, but from Shen Zichuan himself. Lanzhou, all you have to do is harden your heart, and you'd be able to leave me behind. Oh, well, I almost want to read the next chapter, but I will end there. I'm going to read the next chapter. Okay, the next chapter is, hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. Yep, we're just gonna do it. Why not? Because like we haven't even reached 2 hours. I mean, we will with this one, but just like, come on. Okay. This will be the last chapter. Hopefully there's no smut. I didn't check, but it's too late now. So, chapter 234. Nobody. Raindrops drummed against the eaves, an extension of Shen Zichuan's mood. He could bear himself in front of Xiao Chuye and show 100 lustful glances, but he still found it hard to verbally express any softness and openness. He was the most eloquent orator in the world, and also the most inarticulate one. I gave this life to Xianshang once because I had no place in this world to call my own. Ah, yeah. When I first stood before the halls of Chengdu, what I saw was a door. Walk through it, and never again would Duanzhou be my hometown. My elder brother would vanish into my dreams, and no one in this world would ever forgive me. It was heart-wrenching, right? That year, Shen Zichuan hadn't ridden into battle against their enemies, nor had he sat high in the imperial court 1,000 miles away. He was an ordinary boy who'd come face to face with the scimitars. And it was precisely because he was ordinary that the wails of the 6 prefectures pierced his eardrums night after night, and the bloodbath in the sinkhole flooded his mind every waking moment. He had knelt in the raging snowstorm and experienced a separation of life and death, and had become the enemy of the entire world overnight. He hadn't done anything, yet he was guilty. His sin went by the name Shen Zichuan. Hi! Missed you. Oh, I missed you too. This is my half heart. We'll put it in my face. We are reading our last chapter for the day. I'm going to say it's the last chapter. I said that, like 2 chapters ago? But the way the last chapter just ended and the fact that this one's so short, I was like, nah, we're just going to read this one. So, he had watched the Biansha horsemen massacre Duanzhou, 30,000 lives weighed him down. But because he had survived, he was forever held captive there. His struggles were insignificant. His anguished cries were worthless before 30,000 corpses. Back then, Shan Zichuan couldn't bear to live on. He had been, among all the giants vying for power, a mere ant, a nobody. His pain was no more than a puff of dust stirred by the other's coughs. The moment he understood this, he'd lost the will to continue. Jimu had told him to live, but with the heroes and the sycophants still tearing at each other's throats, he knew he would only be reduced to a pawn again. Dragging out his miserable existence would be no more than a waiting game before death claimed him to begin the next cycle of reincarnation. Back in the derelict Temple of Guilt, Ti Huilian had raised his arms like a madman and cried out for the crown prince, but there was no longer any crown prince of this empire. Were the precious bloodlines of the noble clans the only hands that could touch the puppet strings? I was reading that differently. Were the precious bloodlines of the noble clans the only hands that could touch the puppet strings that pulled the world? Were those distinguished, heaven-blessed lineages the only ones worthy to call down a storm that shook the realm? If that was so, then all the innumerable ordinary folk in the world could only be the rotting bones at the bottom of the palace steps. They were ants meant to be trampled on. They felt no pain, and they knew not how to voice their anguish. They were nobodies. What crime did we commit? Ti Huilian had cried with inconsolable grief. What crime did we commit? Shan Zichuan had once caught Xiao Chuye by the collar in the filthy alley, ripping open his mask of forbearance to ask those same words, his voice breaking. You and I, what did we do wrong? If being alive was his sin, then the heavens themselves were pinning his head to the dirt so he could kneel and live on as a nobody. But Shan Zichuan had met Ti Huilian. He had seen the Grand Mentor's madness and listened as the lone crow let loose a mourning caw. He'd been forced to the precipice. If he couldn't muster the courage to burn the bridge and fight to the end, then he would have to venture down the path fate had laid out for him and kill himself once more. I am Ti Huilian of Yuzhou. I taught the Crown Prince, and now I will teach you. I will impart my lifetime of knowledge, all of it, to you. What do you say? What Shan Zichuan had seen then was a chance for him to live. Not just a way to rise up on his knees and catch his breath, but one where he could stand on his own 2 feet and move forward. Was victory assured just because one was born the descendant of a noble clan? The moment Ti Huilian knelt before him, the world shifted. He had broken down that wall before anyone else, even Shan Zichuan himself. Ti Huilian was a teacher of emperors. He would only teach someone who walked that path. He'd extended his hand to Shan Zichuan, not just because he had no other choice. In fact, this was the most insane and ambitious of the Grand Mentor schemes. If Xinjiang will be my scroll, I will be his sword. Shan Zichuan's hatred had been scattered across the whole of Chudu, a sea of faint, innumerable sparks. It was Ti Huilian who converged them into the flame of enemy. Serene is the orchid that grows on palace steps, boundless the horizon of the boat that crosses the sea of misery. Ti Huilian had forged Shan Zichuan into what he was, sheathing his sharpest edges in patience. He had wanted to erase all the self-hatred that had kept Shan Zichuan clinging to life. He wanted to right Shan Zichuan's path, so that he could see himself truly and clearly. Xue Shuzhuo wasn't wrong in his thinking. He was simply too late. Ti Huilian had already found his heir to the throne. Rain washed over the eaves. Shan Zichuan had fallen silent. He buried his face in Xiao Chuye's back, just as Xiao Chuye had buried his into the pillow. Shan Zichuan didn't value his life. Death didn't scare him. The hooves of the riders hunting the deer didn't skirt around anything. All the most peaceful oases in the world, yeah, I guess it's plural. There's interesting. Okay, all the most peaceful oases in the world were built upon the sharpest blades. If Shanzhuan died, it only proved he'd lost this game for the throne. It was insignificant. Would a cut hand hurt? For Shanzhuan, he had to be cut first before he could answer. Ti Huilian hadn't managed to tether him to life. He was a blade without a hilt, one that drew blood whenever it was held. No one else in the world could wield him. He had walked away from everything, all to achieve his goal: freedom. He had felt free as he killed Ti Lei. With that, Ti Huilian had realized for the first time that while he might have honed Shanzhuan, he had not sheathed him. Shanzhuan had only learned how to strike a silent, fatal blow. When Shanzhuan had made love to Xiao Chuye that first time, his battered, scarred body had finally experienced pleasure, the joy of being alive. Even he hadn't realized at the time that it was a prelude to the blade's return home. This squall from Li Bei had scoured away Shanzhuan's nightmares. Xiao Chuye had invaded Shanzhuan's heart and dominated it. His strong arms blocked out all the din. Without invitation, he crashed his way into the deepest recesses of that quagmire to snip at the exquisite gem therein. He was the avaricious wolf. Xianzhang returned this life to me, Aye. Shanzhuan melted into that familiar smell and nuzzled his chest against Xiao Chuye's back like a fox cub who'd followed his scent. Aye. Xiao Chuye reached back to hold Shanzhuan in place, then turned his head, seeking his eyes. Shanzhuan's eyes were open, the look in them sincere. He inched Xiao Chuye's face closer with his fingertips and said, I am yours, even in death, and you are mine. Then, revealing the ruthless edge of that blade, he continued, if anyone tries to take you from me, I'll kill them. Even if it were the king of hell. At first, Shanzhuan thought what he cherished was not his own life, but Xiao Chuye. Gradually, he came to learn that a cut finger would hurt, but it wasn't his finger that felt the pain. It was Xiao Chuye. Living was difficult, but in the process, he discovered yet more reasons to do so. He lived for Jimu, for Qi Huilian, for Zhongbo, for all the nobodies in this tempestuous storm. I want to live to a ripe old age with you. Shanzhuan dropped a light kiss on Xiao Chuye's temple, in a place no one else can reach. Xiao Chuye caught Shanzhuan's hand again and rolled over to gather him into his arms. Cupping Shanzhuan's cheeks, he leaned in and studied him closely. Tired from the ride? Shanzhuan asked quietly. Nope. Xiao Chuye caressed Shanzhuan's cheeks. I get through the days by thinking about you. I think that's a good stopping point. Although my brain is like, read the next chapter. It's less than 10 pages. I'm just going to check. We're not going to read the next chapter. I'm just going to count how many pages are in the next chapter. It's only 5.5 pages. I'm not going to read it because I have something to do. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's see. And it took me just 10 minutes to read that. I could technically, it was like 12 minutes just to read that. I could technically read the next. I think I should stop there before I get carried away. Oh, okay. That was a beautiful chapter. Beautiful, right? Right, Sheila? Just rubies. Yes, every time those two speak, I mm, I love these two so much. Mm. Best Dominic couple I have ever read. Just absolutely the freaking best. Anyway, I could read the next chapter. I legitimately could keep reading. Um, I don't know what to do with myself. Normally, I'm not in like a zone like this, at least as of recent, with everything else I've been doing, where I'm like, I could read some more, I could read some more, I could read some more. Like, usually, I'm like, okay, I need to take a break from reading and get back to painting or get back to this or get back to that. But like, I just want to keep reading. I just want to keep reading. I've spoiled you with the extra chapters and they were so nice. They were. Oh, I'm so tempted to read the next chapter. The only thing is, if I read the next chapter, like I would have to, after I finish reading the next chapter, I would have to just pause for a moment to let this lady into a live session. But like, I feel like this is a good stopping point, though. I need to calm it down. Maybe, yes, calm it down. I hear you. I'm a calm it down. Okay. That is it for today. We went much further than I expected we would go. We went from page 87 to 135. Bruh, so tempted. Great. That was one, two, three, four, five, six chapters. I hope you all enjoyed them. I'm thinking for the month of May, our next live reading session. I'm trying to figure it out because it can't be next weekend because I have work all weekend. Um, well, actually, hold on. No, is something missing from my calendar? I feel like I definitely have more work than what's showing on my calendar. Give me just a second because I'm going to figure this out with you guys so I can just tell you now when the next live session will be. Um, I'm definitely. Okay, let's go to events. Right. Okay. On May 2nd. Oh, I know what's happening. Right. That's why I'm not seeing because she is covering that shift for me. Oh, perhaps we could go live next Saturday, May the 2nd. And I'm just thinking May the 2nd because the next weekend, Saturday, May the 9th, technically that's like Mother's Day weekend. And so, just in case any of you guys here are mothers and may have something to do with your family, I didn't want to intrude upon that time. So, yeah, okay. We can actually do a live reading with everyone Saturday. That will be next Saturday, then, yes. May the 2nd, 10:30 a.m. once again. I'll figure out the next live reading session. Um, yeah. One, two, three, four. And that's if we have one, technically, depending on how fast this book is finished, whether in 3 to 4 weeks, I don't know. I hope everyone's been okay though with like the pacing of everything. It's been a lot slower just with me putting more work into my artistic endeavors and learning more about therapeutic arts and everything. Um, so I've had to just, slow down a lot with my reading. But y'all, I have been having like a lot of fun just diving into art. I've been painting so much, and I even read this book called Your Brain on Art, which explains the psychological, physiological benefits of arts in all form and the effects they have, on your brain, on illnesses, all that stuff. And it was just, oh, it was such a good read. But anyway, today's chapters, very, very good. Very, very good chapters. I don't have anything to say other than I enjoyed them thoroughly. And I'm kind of scared that they were so good and enjoyable because I'm waiting for the bomb to drop, for the shoe to drop, for the shit to hit the fan. I'm concerned is all I have to say. And this was the blueberry I wanted to paint. So let me just put it over there. Um, yeah, I love these chapters so much. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. I don't really have a whole bunch to say. Um, yeah, I'll wait and see if you guys have any comments or any questions or anything. Otherwise, I mean, we just read today, read lots of chapters, and we can just call it a day and enjoy the rest of our weekends. I'm trying to see, because I know he didn't want to do it opening night, or even I don't know about today. If my husband wants to go see the Michael Jackson movie, I'm like not excited about it, but also intrigued. I don't know. It's a weird thing. Um, he said, art in any capacity is so good for you. Yes, you've been itching to either crochet or get back into miniature paintings. Oh, crocheting is so cool. It's so cool. If you want to get back into it, please get back into it. And if in painting is, I love painting. Like what kind of painting? Acrylic, oil, or watercolor, or gouache? Which one? Miniature paintings are really cool. Sometimes I find them to be quite difficult though. Like I find doing large paintings daunting, but scary paintings, I mean tiny paintings are kind of difficult. In our Discord, we've been like having a blast with a lot of prompts and everything that we've been doing. And we have weekly prompts on their Danmei themed topics, but we don't have to like create Danmei related things. So like what was it we did the other day? I'm trying to find my art journal because I now have one of those. The other day, like one week we did a red ribbon and Lord have mercy, I'm never gonna find it. Oh, so or just no, it was red string. And so I had done like just the red strings on a fan that I own. And then like it was a really close up of like my husband and I's rings with the red string around it. And then like another time, what did we do? Oh, we just did hairpins. I do not like my painting, but I'm going to share it with them anyway. And then I'm going to try again. Just yesterday, I did my very first ever painting from life. Like I set up one of my glasses and some two paper roses and a hairpin and a piece of paper that I had and a scarf that I stuffed in there. I've never painted from life before, so I was just like, I don't know about this. So I got to do it again, and we'll see what happens. But we've been having a lot of fun doing these prompts, and then we just have a channel period to share our art, what we've been doing, and it's been very fun and very fulfilling. Um, Thank you for the reminder. Um, it's like little painting little figurines. Usually use acrylics. Man, my acrylics are looking at me in anger because I abandoned them. I switched them out for watercolor. But I also bought this this set a while ago, which I don't use. It was very expensive and I haven't been using it. Of the sticks. Hold on. That I would have to grind and mix with water. I plan on doing something with them. They're very peaceful when it comes to just like the process of actually making them. So anyway, yeah, that's just what I've been up to. And I thought about like sharing some of that stuff with you guys here on YouTube, but I ain't gonna lie, a part of my brain was like, yeah, I don't think anyone would be interested in that kind of content from me. At least because this whole page was like, I mean, this whole channel, was based off of Danmei. And so, like, I don't want to abandon what I'm doing, just like the community that I've built, even if I don't get back to reading Danmei again after we finish QJJ and Copper Coins. And so I was like, would I just like leave the channel? Or leave my Patreon, or would I just like shift it to something else? I don't know. But then I was like, I don't know who would be interested in something like that. So life has just been lifing over here as I think far ahead, but also try to remind myself, like, don't try to plan things so far ahead. Just live life and see what happens. Take it one step at a time, right? Just take it one step at a time. But thank you very much. Yeah, I'm working on a painting now. I'm kind of nervous, honestly. I just haven't painted the face yet, but it's gonna be my sister-in-law and her baby because they were so precious. So anyway, I'm just blabbering on now, chatting, even though I have to go here in a second. But yeah, I've been thinking really hard about life ever since I made my announcement. And like the weird thing is, my first week of not reading Danmei, like when we finished volume 6 and we had to wait for volume 7, it was weird for me. I'm not gonna lie. It was kind of weird, but strangely fulfilling. Like when all the energy that I used to put into Danmei, I was like, okay, put that same energy toward art and all of those things. And it was fulfilling. It's just like the habit that I got used to always consuming Danmei or BL of some kind or making it myself or whatever. So it's been a weird journey. But anyway, I'm rambling. I have, speaking of art, an art session that I have to let someone into. An art hangout instead of a live reading could be an option if you don't want to give up this channel. I wouldn't mind, but it's all up to you. Well, it's nice to know at least one person wouldn't mind. Yeah. I mean, I think it would be cool, and I know that there are a lot of people out there who want to get into art, but have many different reasons for why they won't. Or there are many people who they used to do art, but they gave it up. And I'm just like, I want to show people how helpful it can be to their mental health and physical health sometimes, and just like even the book I was reading, Your Brain on Art, it was talking about how you don't have, and I said this on my Patreon in the last post, I think, you don't have to be good at art in order for it to be healing. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't realize. You can literally make crap, if you will, but it's the act of doing the art, the process of it that is fulfilling. So yeah, a lot of people just need to get out of their heads and allow their creativity to flow through. So I'll be working on that and we shall see. Okay. Let me open up this Zoom. I'm supposed to be on Zoom right now to let this lady into this live session. Um, yes. I don't know if any feedback will happen from this. So 1 second. Okay. There we are. Yes, I am muted. Y'all, I'm working. I should probably just go. Ah, but anyway, um, yeah, so I think probably what I'll try to do sometime in May is see if we can have some art sessions. I would just have to see how I would get things set up because I only have my one camera and then, of course, my phone, which I know there's an app called Camo, I believe, that would allow you to stream and, have two different phones and I could set it up. Or I could even use OBS, now, but I just want to make sure that everything would be good quality. And just, I don't know, I just have to figure out exactly what we would do. But I guess the only way to figure it out is to just do it, you know? So, um, yeah, that's pretty much it. Sorry I didn't give you much food ASMR. I didn't eat these chocolate graham crackers, but it's okay. Um, Wait a minute. Oh, did I? It's fine. But yeah, if you all don't have anything else to say, so I don't continue just rambling random things, we can go ahead and head on out. And we'll meet next weekend, 10:30 again. And the first chapter, for sure, maybe chapters of Copper Coins will be released on Monday. Again, this is a slow read. So what it will probably be is just reading weekly, just like one 1 to 2 chapters, depending on like how much time I have, released of Copper Coins weekly. Or if I have the bandwidth or the wherewithal to do so, maybe I'll release one chapter one day and one chapter later in the week, and we'll do it that way. We'll just see. I have to figure it out. You said live? Win. It is a win. So yeah, I have started the recording for Copper Coins already. So you guys will be getting that for anyone who is reading. You can anticipate that. But yeah, I love you all so much. No, well, I Neiman so much. And I wish you the best. Have a beautiful rest of your weekend and we'll see you next time. 下次见. Something like that. You're so welcome.